The Ottawa Roughriders have a chance to move into sole possession of third place in the East with a win tonight in Vancouver. Also ahead on the CFL Report, his hands can do more than handle the football. We'll meet Ottawa defensive lineman John Mandrick. Our college connection features Carl Coulter. And the commissioner takes a trip to the Big Apple.
Live from the stadium at BC Place in Vancouver, it's the Ottawa Roughriders and the British Columbia Lions. We're about 35 minutes to kick off for this football game tonight. Welcome to the CFL Report here on TSN. I'm Peter Watts. The Ottawa Roughriders have not beaten the British Columbia Lions in a long time. They've lost 12 straight. They have not, in fact, won a game in Vancouver since 1974. But they really need a victory in this game if they hope to keep the pressure on Hamilton for that third and final playoff spot in the East. As for the Lions, they're already playing for next year.
A month ago, the Ottawa Roughriders were playing like a legitimate contender. They just beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders to pick up their third win in a row. Since then, however, the Riders have lost 3 in a row to Saskatchewan, Edmonton, and Calgary, and they've been outscored by an average of over 27 points a game. And while the Riders fall, the Lions have begun to fly since Bob Obilovich took over as head coach. In Obilovich's debut, the Lions dominated Hamilton, beating the Ticats 34-4 at Ivor Wynne Stadium. Last week, they traveled to Saskatchewan, and despite losing, they played well. This 108-yard punt return by Tony Hunter gave the Lions visions of an upset, leading 21-7. But the Green Riders came back in the dying minutes to win it 37-34. Both Obilovich's Lions and Goldman's Roughriders are fighting to make the playoffs. The Lions have to win to have any chance at all. The Riders could also use a win as they battle Hamilton for the final playoff spot in the East Division.
Big game in the standings for both teams. The Lions on life support system, the Ottawa Roughriders competitive with Hamilton, trying to beat the Ticats out for that final playoff spot. And we have more on that now. Here's John Wells of Leaf Pedersen.
Okay, Peter, we too wonder what is going on with the Ottawa Roughriders after 3 great weeks, 3 straight losses. Where is the problem, Mr. Pedersen? Is it at quarterback?
Well, you know, John, it might be, and maybe not for the obvious reasons. You know, I think as you look at the Ottawa offense, and they have guys like David Williams and Reggie Barnes and Stephon Jones and Damon Allen, who statistically is having a very good year. But I think you have to look beyond that. And when they brought Damon Allen over from Edmonton, they really looked and hoped that he would have the leadership qualities. Now, in Edmonton, of course, he didn't need them. But here, he has to be much more of a leader, and I really think that that's been the missing ingredient for that team.
Now, mathematically, the BC Lions still have a shot to make the playoffs in the Western Division. Do you think Mr. Pesham's bonus money for Bob Obilovich is safe?
Well,
right now?
You know, he's offered Bob Obilovich $75 grand if he can get them to the playoffs, but after tonight, I think the 75 might be safe.
Well, they're 7 points away with 5 games to go. The Lions in tough against the Ottawa Roughriders here tonight.
Both of these teams made a lot of noise about free agent signings in the offseason, particularly the Roughriders. One of the people they signed up was the Juice, John Mandrich. Let's meet John now.
Ottawa Roughriders defensive tackle John Mandrich has been one of the most colorful figures in the CFL for the past 6 years. Off the field, Mandrich and his wife like to spend time working on their cars and their bodies.
Well, I've always liked cars, and I turned that into a business. I used to restore cars, and I had a business in Edmonton prior to coming over to Ottawa. And restoring cars was really the biggest thing that I enjoyed, and also doing a lot of weight training in the gym, because my fiance, she's a bodybuilder, so it works out well hand in hand. While I'm training for football, she's usually training for a contest, so we spend a lot of our spare time either restoring our old vehicles or, you know, trying to build up some bodies.
Time now for the hits of the week, and we'll start off with a couple of dishonorable mentions. Saskatchewan's Bob Poley ignores the no yards rule and decks BC's Norman Jefferson. Pretty cynical hit by Poley, one that could easily have got him ejected from the game. Our Our second dishonorable mention goes to Hamilton's Jim Rockford for this cheap shot on Toronto's Darryl Smith. Now for our clean hits of the week. Our runner-up comes from Ottawa. Rider Patrick Wayne blindsides Stampeder quarterback Rick Warman. Here's another look. Warman didn't see or hear Wayne coming, but he sure feels him when he arrives. But the hit of the week is delivered by an unlikely source. Edmonton kicker Ray McArady. Winnipeg's Lee Hall is heading for the Eskimo end zone, but McArady stops him in his tracks. Kickers usually avoid this type of collision, but McArady holds his own and then some as he puts the boots to Hall and gives us our CFL hit of the week. Trivia time. Our first clue, and yes, always the toughest. He was a CFL All-Star in the 50s and 60s and was the subject of Eddie McCabe's book entitled Profile of a Pro.
Jones with the pass to Andy McCabe, complete. Run it! Don't follow him in!
Our second clue, a little easier. He led the East in passing from 1963 to 1967 and threw 4 touchdowns in the 1969 Grey Cup as Ottawa beat Saskatchewan 29-11.
Welcome back to the stadium in Vancouver. We're just a few minutes before kickoff between the Ottawa Rough Riders and the British Columbia Lions, and an ex-Lion and now a big rider joins us now. David Williams, welcome home.
I'm really glad to be back here. It's kind of difficult for me right now. I haven't been away from here in my career here, so this is the first time back, and it's different already, and I haven't even started playing yet.
Do you have any regrets about leaving? Some of your greatest games were here, and some of your greatest achievements were in this stadium.
Yes, I have regrets about the way we left. You know, with the management that they had here the temporary management that they had here. So, you know, you have to move on and accomplish other goals and do the best you can. You know, I'm a football player and I'm a professional, so I have to do whatever it takes for me to win.
I have to ask you, Damon Allen's got some great numbers, among the best of the CFL quarterbacks, and yet the Ottawa passing offense is last in the league. Why?
I don't know. I guess you can say that we're not the main focal points, the outside receivers like we were here. And it kind of shows a little bit because, you know, you look at games and I might have one catch and Stephon Jones might have 1 catch, and then we lose by 20 points. And a lot of times we just sit back and we wonder, you know, how come if we're not being as productive, then we just change it around and we just like throw the ball to the White House a lot more.
Well, you can get it done in this game, and you've got Hamilton next week. We wish you the best of luck in that one because that's a big game against the Tigers.
Yeah, I think it'll boil down to that'll be the most important game of the year for us because we're both in tie for 3rd, and we're looking for that last playoff spot. And I think whoever beats in that game will have the upper hand in that goal of reaching the playoffs.
Good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
David Williams of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Time now to meet a counterpart, a gentleman we'll see a lot of in this game. Behind the mask this week with the British Columbia Lions' great young quarterback, Doug Flutie.
You could say BC Lions quarterback Doug Flutie has always marched to the beat of his own drum.
My father had a dance band when he was in his 20s, and even into his 30s, he had a dance band in the Baltimore area, and we always had an organ around the house, or at least some keyboards or something, so I sort of listened in all the time and tried to learn a little on my own. I've never really taken lessons at anything. I do things my own way. I have my own little style, even if I'm out on the ski slope or whatever it is. You can tell that I sort of teach myself. My brother plays a little bit of guitar, and a buddy of ours doesn't really sing, but he comes over anyway. And he brought, my brother bought a friend of his a bass for him to get to learn to play. And we all just sit down in the basement and mess around. And it's a lot of fun, but we got to get a mixing board or something to try to record and get things right. It'll be fun.
While Flutie Flutie doesn't pretend to be a rock star of any type. He does see a connection between sports and music.
I think all athletes wish they were rock stars, and from what I understand, a lot of the people in the entertainment business, their idols are all sports figures, and all the people, everybody wishes they could do something else.
Famous for his sleight of hand on the field, Flutie can also use his sleight of hand on the keyboard.
Well, last week on the Laugh segment, we had Ian Sinclair from the BC Lions, and he told a pretty funny story, and Gerald Roper was the brunt of that funny story, so I thought it only fair to bring Gerald on this week and give him equal opportunity to try and make me laugh. But before we do, you know, you and Ian Sinclair are actually pretty close friends in the off-season. In fact, you're involved in business together.
Definitely. Ian Sinclair and I are almost like brothers. We own a travel business together, Travel Unlimited here in Vancouver, and working hard at that in the off-season to try and get retirement a little bit easier and a little bit closer to the end of football.
I got to tell you now, he told us a great story, and I'm going to give you your opportunity to get one up on him. And if, of course, you make me laugh, you will win. Don't take it yet. You will win a TSN hat. If you don't, I'll be all over you in a hurry. So are you ready?
First of all, any story about me and golf is going to be funny.
All right. Let's have it.
I got another one about Ian, another golf story, actually. We're playing in a golf tournament out here at UBC 4 years ago, and we're playing with a couple of executives from a local radio station, and you know how those golf tournaments go. You have a few Kool-Aids every hole. And,
oh, I like that.
And by the 12th or 13th hole, we were feeling no pain, so little par 3 about 170 yards away. Ian duffed his tee shot off the mat, and we walked down, and his second shot, Ian is by far a much better golfer than I am. And
most people are, I think.
Yeah, pulls out his wedge about 70 yards away, chips it up right on the green, bounces a few times, goes into the hole. Ian, by this point, is so happy, jumping up and down like a crazy lunatic, throws his club up in the air, goes over his head. He's not even looking. He's so happy the ball went in. Hit the guy from Seafox right in the head. Knocked the guy down. We had to go over there and apologize. And I tell you, after that, Ian was kissing Buddy. Still gave us a putter from Seafox after the tournament was over.
That's the worst story
You're
I think
laughing.
I've ever heard. I'm laughing because it's so bad. Rope, I mean, I gave you a chance to come on here and just to show us what a great entertainer you are.
Most of my stories I can't really say on TV anyway.
I got to tell you, I'm going to give you the hat out of sympathy because the story was not great.
That was a great story.
Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks very much.
All right.
Hat so he wouldn't have to carry it home. We're about 21 minutes to go until kickoff here in Vancouver. Time for the CFL's best. Now the best hitters coming up this week. Here's Rod Smith.
This week on the CFL's Best, we went to Ottawa and asked the Rough Riders who they think are the league's hardest hitters.
Well, I think one of the guys who made one of the hardest hits I ever saw was Junior Robinson that used to play with us. He's with Hamilton now, and he hit a guy in Montreal that, you know, I still don't think they found his teeth yet. You know, he just really knocked the crap off of the guy, and you know, they had to bring the ambulance around the field, and it was a clean hit over the middle, and I would say that's probably one of the hardest hits I ever saw. It was ugly.
I would think Braswell from, I think that's his name, from Edmonton. You know, he's caught me a couple of good times in that Edmonton game. So I respect him for that. So he brings the wood a little bit.
I haven't really been hit by anyone that really hits hard. You know, I get to probably, I guess probably say Braswell from Everton. He does some crazy things out there. But as far as I haven't been hit, so I really can't say right now.
In just his second year with the BC Lions, offensive lineman Carl Coulter, number 59, is one of Bob Ovilovich's young Lions. At 6'2", 275 pounds, he's been a regular in the Lions special teams and seen some duty along the offensive line. Coulter attended Carleton University in Ottawa, and although he hails from a small town in Ontario, he says he had little trouble adjusting to life in the nation's capital.
Ottawa's a beautiful city, and Carleton is a good university. What I remember about it is just a relaxed atmosphere when I went there. It really made me feel welcome, relaxed, and helped me to fit in a little easier in the program and adjust to where I come from. Is Lindsay. It's a small kind of town, and moving to Ottawa was a big adjustment for me. And Carleton made it very relaxed and easy for me to adjust, and they got a pretty good program there.
20 minutes to go until kickoff. The Ottawa Rough Riders and the British Columbia Lions, a rivalry dominated by the Lions in the decade of the 80s. We'll be back.
Our final trivia clue. He played 12 seasons with the Ottawa Rough Riders. He won the Shenley as the league's outstanding player 3 times while being named the league's top Canadian on 4 occasions. He was a quarterback and wore number 12. The answer, of course, is Russ Jackson.
Ah, yes, number 12, part of those great Ottawa teams of the 60s. 4 Grey Cup appearances, 3 Grey Cup wins, and in all of them, Russ Jackson was a major factor this week on CFL Flashback.
Russ Jackson, well, it's a long time ago. Probably one of the greatest quarterbacks in the CFL.
Russ Jackson, history.
He had excellent leadership qualities. Maybe that's something that's missing on the team right now.
Hi, I'm Russ Jackson. I was fortunate enough to play with the Ottawa Rough Riders for 12 years from 1958 through 1969. Getting to the 60 Grey Cup was a real experience because that was the first one for a lot of us in Ottawa. I started, didn't do too well. Ronnie went in, had trouble with the wet field, and then I played the last sort of 2/3 of the game, and we went on to beat Edmonton. We were playing Calgary in the 68 Grey Cup, and the whole idea was to try and take Margene, take him down the inside as the zone rotated, and then cut him back right across the field. In other words, throwing diagonally across the field, which is not the way you normally would do things, because normally as you roll, everybody's going to go that way into the zone. And he just cut back across, and I just threw it as far as I could. And Margene caught it, 6 points and convert, and really that was the play that turned the game around. People still talk about back-to-back Grey Cups, the 69 season of the Ottawa Football Club, and that's what I'm remembered for. And to this day, 21 years later, people are still, when they talk to you, they remember that 69 Grey Cup and what happened, and you went out on a high note, winning the Grey Cup, which is the most important thing, but also the individual awards again as well. CBC gave me the opportunity, and the other network as well, CTV, approached me, and I went with CBC to do the color. And I worked with Don Chevrier, and it was just a great experience to maintain that contact with the sport that you had been involved with for so long. And to phase out that way, I think, was really helpful to me. And so I took over as the Argonaut coach in 1975. I enjoyed the 2 years. It took a year to, what I think, get players started on the team that believed in what Russ Jackson and the coaching staff were doing. That was difficult, and that year became a very trying year, and the owner made a decision that it was me who had to go. And I was fired. It took me a long time to say I was fired, but now I can say it. Most people thought I'd go in to teach physics because they thought of me as the athlete, but I was in math and physics. And I went on and to Ontario College of Education in Toronto and got my degree in teaching the math and the physics. And I really have enjoyed the experience of being associated with young adults.
We had a problem with our classes and one thing, so we went to a school board and he fixed it all up for us.
He seems very friendly, very nice, and great at organizing the school. The school's very wonderful, and hopefully some of our teams will actually win this year.
To sit and work with 1,400 young adults and hopefully have an impression on them is something that's really worthwhile. Let's face it, you touch a lot more people as an entertainer, as a football player, than you do as an education. That's because you touch basically the 1,400 families that you maybe deal with in a school building. But I would hope that would be part of what I'm remembered for, and that I don't care which one is first or whatever, but I want to be remembered for both.
Remembered fondly, Russ Jackson, really back to the last truly great era in Rough Rider football.
This will definitely rekindle the old argument about Canadian quarterbacks after everybody watched that piece.
All right, let's go now to our Players of the Week, back to Week 13, and I look to the British Columbia Lions for my pick this week. To linebacker Willie Pless, had a big day, blocked 1 punt, had 6 tackles, And in spite of the fact that the Saskatchewan Roughriders came out with a late victory over BC last week, I liked Willie Clark.
Well, he had a great game. How about the Calgary Stampeders? Their big win over Ottawa last week, and they dusted off old Rick Warman, who came in and went 17 for 28, 4 touchdown passes, and he led the Stampeders to a much-needed victory, 52-8 over the Ottawa Roughriders. Rick Warman is my player of the week.
There you go, picking the quarterbacks again.
Yeah,
it's real
always
easy. All right.
Easy choice.
Here, Peter.
Rick Warman will have a prominent role on Sunday as the Calgary Stampeders play host to the Saskatchewan Roughriders at McMahon Stadium. Here are the quarterbacks you'll possibly see in this game and some of the numbers they've put up this year on the CFL Report. 11 minutes until kickoff here in Vancouver. There's an old axiom that says that offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships. The Toronto Argos would buy that. It's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers who have them both right now. Over 30,000 fans on hand at Winnipeg Stadium on Friday night to watch a battle for first place in the East Division. It was a battle the Bombers won early and often. Lorenzo Rivers fumbles the football, stripped of it by Les Brown, and the Blue Bombers recover on the opening kickoff of the football game. And just 2 plays later, Tom Burgess on the Bomber offense strikes. Burgess to Robert Mims, wide open in the end zone for the touchdown. The Bombers led it by 7-0. They would not relinquish the lead on this night. The Bomber defense tenacious and very quick as well as the football stripped away from Rick Foggy and the recovery made by Quincy Williams after great pressure by Tyrone Jones. Don Matthews could only stand by and watch as his team, which scored 130 points in the last 2 games, could score only 9 on this night. Winnipeg with the victory goes 4 points ahead of Toronto. Those 2 teams meet again next Saturday. Hamilton and Ottawa tie for the 3rd and final playoff spot. The Ticats play host to the Edmonton Eskimos on Monday afternoon at Iverwin Stadium. And Calgary and Saskatchewan meet Sunday at McMahon Stadium in Calgary with 2nd place in the West on the line. BC Lions still mathematically alive, but they really need some help now to make the playoffs. CFL Commissioner Donald Crump in New York this week to meet with officials of the NFL. Rumors circulating about a possible NFL expansion into Canada. Crump says he wants no part of it.
The Canadian Football League was an integral part of the social structure of Canada, and certainly Toronto was a pivotal city, and we intend to keep it that way. And I think he respects that, and we'll go on from here.
Last week, Kent Austin set the Saskatchewan Roughriders record for most yards passed in a season. But last week as well, Austin twisted his knee and his ankle in the 4th quarter of a game against the Lions. Austin's 3rd knee injury since joining Saskatchewan. He'll miss this game against Calgary. He may be back next week.
The Toronto Argonauts have played very well the last couple of weeks without Matt Dunnigan. This week on Fans Corner, we asked Argo fans if they thought their team could go all the way without Dunnigan.
I think they can. I think they got the coaching. I think Don Matthews is an excellent coach. He has a great philosophy. He's a player's type of coach. He knows how to get the players to come out and play.
Yeah, I think they have a good shot this year. I've been watching their games off and on. We only get a couple of channels, but I think they're doing good.
Well, they're playing really well. I mean, it's a team game just like hockey is, and I mean, one player can make a difference, but that's what separates a good team from the bad teams. When key players are out, the good teams still win, and that shows what the Argos are doing.
All right, Eddie-O, time now to open the mail. And this week's letter is from Toronto from Mike Williams. Dear Leaf, I love the speed of our game and would not like to slow it down. However, with the poor officiating in the CFL, this is Mike saying this. Example, Lions versus Winnipeg. Do you think the instant replay should be brought in on questionable calls?
Now, Mike, I think that's a great question, and I am really in favor of bringing it in, but it has to be controlled, and not too many times. I mean, you watch an NFL game, and when they go to that replay rule, they sit around and wait forever. If it can be structured properly so it's quick, concise, and does the job, I'm all for it.
All right, Leaf is answered, and if you have any other questions or comments, drop us a line to CFL Questions, 1155 Leslie Street, Don Mills, Ontario, M3C2J6. Leaf loves to answer the mail.
All right, guys, that's everything for now on this week's edition of the CFL Report, which next Sunday will come to you from Taylor Field in Regina, where the Edmonton Eskimos will be visiting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And won't that be a dandy? The Riders, one of the few teams to beat Edmonton this year. Next, though, it's the Ottawa Roughriders and the British Columbia Lions, live from the stadium at BC Place in Vancouver. Local blackouts are in effect here in the Lower Mainland.